Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham gave birth to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. What caused the family to feud? Satan was at the root. 4 and 3 make 7. Also 5 and 2. One great universal truth, but many different point of view.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Unity or something start with you and I. Let's work it out together, you and I. Cause love is a thing you can't beg, neither borrow. No deficit, there will be more tomorrow. Take a big man to put difference aside. What a calamity when the difference collide. Every man self-righteous, don't be so shallow. Every man trust in the path that they follow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham turning in his grave, seeing how the children behave, fighting and killing each other, denying the connection as brother, all waiting for the Messiah to pull the family together. But what will he require to keep them out of the judgment fire? We must unite in truth and do justice, practice righteousness. Then God's kingdom will come, and this wicked world will be done. We must unite the tribes in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Nigeria, and Nkrumah's vision lights the world over, from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Too much division make a good thing spoil. Families are lost over land and oil. Then the want for revenge starts casting a shadow. Some try to forgive, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Love sin a go on the sacred style. Please say a prayer for the woman and child, and unite today so they can still have tomorrow. When fate separates us, it leads on to sorrow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham gave birth to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. What caused the family to feud? Satan was at the root. 4 and 3 make 7. Also 5 and 2. One great universal truth, but many different point of view.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Unity or something start with you and I. Let's work it out together, you and I. Cause love is a thing you can't beg, neither borrow. No deficit, there will be more tomorrow. Take a big man to put difference aside. What a calamity when the difference collide. Every man self-righteous, don't be so shallow. Every man trust in the path that they follow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham turning in his grave, seeing how the children behave, fighting and killing each other, denying the connection as brother, all waiting for the Messiah to pull the family together. But what will he require to keep them out of the judgment fire? We must unite in truth and do justice, practice righteousness. Then God's kingdom will come, and this wicked world will be done. We must unite the tribes in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Nigeria, and Nkrumah's vision lights the world over, from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Too much division make a good thing spoil. Families are lost over land and isle. Then the want for revenge starts casting a shadow. Some try to forgive, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Love sin a go on the sacred style. Please say a prayer for the woman and child, and unite today so they can still have tomorrow. When fate separates us, it leads on to sorrow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Ready for Revolution, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad here. Welcome. Appreciate all of you joining me on this live stream on the various platforms here. And I know it's pretty much an unorthodox time for you to see me because most of you are so used to seeing me early morning. But there was something on the spirit that I wanted to share based off a lot of streams I've been seeing recently and based off of some understandings or misunderstandings as it relates to abundance and prosperity teaching and things of that nature. So I wanted to offer some dialogue, offer some points that may assist us in our understandings of not just as wealth builders or people who there's so many of us that don't believe we're deserving of having more. And so it puts a cloud over our ability to really grow and achieve in the way that we're desirous of, or way we think we should be desirous of. And then there's others who don't mind the prosperity. They just don't want it coming from you. They don't mind the opportunity, but they don't necessarily want to communicate it through you. So I'm offering myself as a third-party validation, so to speak. I just want to utilize the opportunity and the platform to share with us and talk about abundance and talk about prosperity, because it's something that generally gets by and it's not really as understood as I believe it should be. And so we're going to look at it, we're going to explore it, and just have a little fireside chat, if you will. Okay. What you heard in the music compilation, and I'll probably play it again at the close, that comes from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Damian Dung Marley. Okay, the Marley family. It's called Let Us Unite. It's a remake of a work that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did back in 1980, I want to say 88. In the second campaign attempt of Reverend Jackson. And so it's called Let Us Unite. This was a Calypso remix that they did there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was recorded in the studios there in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica. And then again, mixed down in Florida, possibly. But I'm quite honored with your presence and your showing up here. So let's talk about it a little bit. Abundance versus prosperity. It's just a discussion. Okay. It's just a discussion that I think is worthy of our time. And when we talk about it, what do we really mean? Well, let's look at abundance. Abundance brings value to the heart. It brings a return value that benefits your inner self, meaning your body, your mind, and spirit. And it has intangible dividends. Okay. It has a way where it could really add value, a foundational value to yourself as a human being, to your family, your loved ones, the environment of your household, and just the whole continent that makes up you. All right. So abundance brings value to the heart. Examples of this manifest benefit includes love, peace of mind, wealth, health, wisdom, integrity, respect, quality of relationships, joy, gratitude, humor, a positive attitude, and contentment, being satisfied. All these things are tied in a spiritual sense to abundance. Okay. It even speaks to the psychology. It speaks to it because these are things that aren't necessarily outwardly manifest. These are things that you just express with spirit. Okay. And many people can relate to this spiritual centeredness. And this is where a lot of times the argument or the discrepancy comes with faith traditions when they hear people talk about prosperity. So there are many who are shunned in the past because it didn't fit the traditional sense of the proselytizing of a faith. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad summed it up this way in terms of abundance. He called the benefit heaven. And he describes heaven, and was found in our lessons. Heaven is described as peace and contentment of mind. Okay. It's also shown as heaven being at the foot of woman. That's a whole nother discussion, another seminar that would take hours to expound on in terms of the power, the beauty, and magnificence of woman. The woman is so highly regarded in the world of Islam as followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that our flagship headquarter mosque in Chicago, Illinois, is named after the only woman in scripture that has an entire chapter named after her. I'm talking about in the Holy Quran, which is Mary. Okay, it's named as Mosque Maryam. So, anyway, when we look at abundance, we talk about abundance being a birthright. We talk often about being children of abundance. You definitely hear me express it a lot. Oftentimes, I talk about abundance in relation to the Creator and what you see of this wonderful universe. In the universe, you see a showering of abundance because there's more of everything than you could possibly consume, right? There's more of everything than you can possibly consume. There's more air than you can breathe. There's more water than you could swim or drink, or more land than you can build upon or walk on. So, abundance is here. And the abundance came with the creation, and we were born and birthed into it. Why? If we're given the power of dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, every creeping thing that crawleth, every animal, we're giving dominion over them. We're giving dominion over the land and the tilling of soil. And, we're given all these wonderful, not just duties and responsibilities, but gifts, right? We're given these things, but we're given these things for a reason. If we're created in the image and the likeness of God, then it stands to reason that we should be those who most benefit as his children. Can a tree decide to grow on its own, leaning to the left? Can a tree decide on its own that's only going to grow 4 feet instead of 60 feet? Can a plant decide it's going to be a plum instead of a cherry? You understand? Those things that are in creation that are designed to serve humanity, they come with a predetermined direction. They can't alter, they can't waver, they can't change mind. They can only grow in the duty that it was created to produce. You see? But the human being is the only creature on the planet that has been given power of choice, freedom of will. We've been given that direct from the Creator. Why? Because we're the greatest of his creation, and because he is the greatest, he desires us solely to bear witness to him and that he exists. So as a reward to that bearing of witness, we earn the abundance that's amongst us. But there's a people on the planet, a select few, who decided to take advantage of this abundance. And when I say take advantage of it, I don't mean in a good and noble fashion. I mean take advantage of it to the point where they exploit, not for the good or for the better, but they exploit it as robbers. And then they put themselves in a position where they're gods besides God, and has a whole world confused, an entire world just totally confused, because we can't see the power, the value, or the significance of ourselves or each other, because we're confused by the haves and the have-nots. So there's another group of saviors, there's another group of communicators who understand that we're deserving of more. Why? Because we know there's more to us than meets the eye, thus abundance. But how do we manifest it? How do we recognize it? How do we maintain it? How do we grow it? How do we secure it? How do we defend it and defend our position with it? You see? Good questions, right? Let's look at prosperity. Let's look at prosperity. I'm just realizing I don't think I have it on screen for you to see. Okay. Let's look at prosperity. Prosperity is something that is also that also brings a returned value, many times to a wallet and or a bank account. Okay, it is on the outside of self and has tangible dividends. You can touch prosperity, you can hold prosperity, you can drive it, you can live in it, you can wear it, you can swim in it, you can take it to the bank or deposit it. This prosperity. Some of the examples of prosperity are money, jewelry, real estate, cars, boats, vehicles, recreation vehicles, collections, investments. Prosperity is considered a material wealth. Abundance is considered a spiritual wealth. Prosperity is considered a material wealth because it manifests itself outside of the human being, outside of the thought process, outside of the mind. But does it make it any less abundant? No. What it does, it represents the abundance that you're guaranteed. It represents, it's like an ID card. Okay. So you have what's known as abundance that speaks more to the spirit in the sense of what we innately deserve or inherit of. And then the prosperity speaks more to the material, identifying that which is a part of us and that thing that we have a right to. Okay. So if I was to take it back one slide, just to bring back abundance, abundance brings value to the heart. It brings a returned value. Now, I use returned in both, defining abundance as well as prosperity. Why do I use returned? I hear a lot of talk in different traditions. In the Christian world, we talk about the return of Jesus. To return is to come back to a point of origin. To reconsider is to rethink, come back to a thought process by which you're now made to revisit. So the re in anything makes you go back over it again. Okay, that's the prefix. So to return, I turned to a thing, but now I'm being returned. I'm coming back to a point of origin. Well, if Jesus is to return today, 2,000 years later, where would he return to? Because we're looking for him in America, and America didn't exist. So where is the return? Is the return physical? Is the return spiritual? Does the return have another connotation? You see? So to return to a point of origin has a lot more to do with understanding who we are and whose we are, as opposed to a physical space or place. So this was put on my mind as I listened to the commentaries from Sister Lakeisha McKnight and Brother oh man, I don't know why I can't call your name. I know why, because I'm mixing you up with a brother in my head, Brother Harrington, but I'm talking about the Carrot Bars anthem. I forgot sister's name, Sister Clemens, I think, but Lord Osborne, Wendell Osborne. So I'm listening to the three of you this morning, and I got a lot out of that discussion. It was really powerful. I wanted the passage quoted again, and I was chiming in from Sister Lakeisha, but it was a delayed feed, so therefore you probably got it after we were done. But listening to the commentary, it put a lot on my mind about the whole idea and concept of returning. What is it to return? In Wealth Builders, we talk about circulating our income, circulating our wealth. Why do we talk about circulation of wealth? Because we don't spend. We don't spend. To spend is to will or wish something away from you. But when you circulate it or use it, you hold on to it. And you use it to gain the greater advantage out of it. You know, Nipsey Russell, the great comedian, may God be pleased, he used to tell this joke about his brother being such a tightwad. He said, well, why do you call your brother stingy? Man, he's stingy. He's a tightwad. He said, what do you mean, Nipsey? He said, man, he would hold a dollar bill until George turned into Booker T. That's a heck of a squeeze. But in Wealth Builders, it's a sign of what we do in the right mindset. We just don't run out and spend. We don't deal with a lot of instant gratification. We delay the gratification for the bigger picture. And the bigger picture in building wealth is for generations beyond us. Because the same scripture that we unite with behind, Bible, Quran, Injil, speaks to a good man or woman leaves an inheritance for their children's children. So in order to do that, you need two things. One, you need the mindset by which to accumulate the wealth and grow the wealth, and you need the money to actually do it. Now, the difference between cash and gold is that gold is money and cash is trash. You know, you cannot build wealth with paper. It may look good on the books. It may look good with the numbers that are written on it or printed on it, but it cannot store value. It cannot hold value. But gold is that one thing that stores the value. Like here's one of our charity cards. You see in the center there is embossed pure gold. Okay, pure grams of gold. You know, it's a store of value. It's a store of labor. It's always as equal to the labor and the task that it took to extract it from the earth. That's gold. That's its power. Okay, so when you know what real money is, a store of value, a store of labor, the more you acquire, the greater your wealth grows. All right, that's one element. Okay, so when we talk about prosperity, we talk about return. And when I talk about it here, it says prosperity is something that also brings a returned value. What was the original value? The original value of the human being is being direct descendants of the Creator. That's the original value. But how do you return to it? Because someone robbed it from us. We lost our names, our language, our culture, our God, our religion, our traditions, our faith. And we were made to assume, I'm talking about blacks in particular, we were made to assume a role in society that spoke to none of our origins. Black history in America was relegated primarily to 1619, when it was alleged we came into America and then history began. It goes from slavery, then jumps to civil rights. You know, well, there's more to us than that. There's more to most people in the world than that. You know, you look at the wars that are fought between the Protestants and Catholics in Europe, more than 100 years, the battle still continues. Why? Because each one says that they are divinely connected to the Creator. Each one has a different methodology, and they argue over methodology. Some argue over ideology, but the truth of the matter is their connection is correct. You know, so to return to a thing is as human beings, we're looking to return to a greater significance than what we exemplify. So from the abundance standpoint, it's a more of a spiritual connection. It's more of a conscientious connection where we know there's more to us than meets the eye. And from the prosperity aspect of it, where it's more material and physical, it's more showing what we deserve as a result of our connection. So abundance and prosperity should work together. They should work together. They should always work together for the greater good. I remember how I used to be so fascinated with Reverend Ike when I was growing up as a youth in Brooklyn. He used to speak at the Pitkin Theater in Brooklyn, in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, 2, sometimes 3 times a week. And I would show up with some of my friends, not going to the event. I wasn't into that as much. I wanted to see how he pulled up to the venue. If he drove a pink Cadillac, he had on a pink suit. If he drove a green Buick, he had on a green suit. If the Rolls was white, his suit was white. I mean, I just looked at the uniformity of what he did and what he showed and what he exemplified. And I remember how many, I don't remember how many, but I remember oftentimes so many people condemned him. People in my mother's church condemned him. You know, people in my grandmother's church condemned him. The Methodists condemned him. Everybody had a condemnation of Reverend Ike because Reverend Ike talked about money, and money and black people didn't go together. You know, and it didn't make him any, never mind. What I did notice is that hundreds upon thousands of people came out all over the country to see this man. He filled Madison Square Garden a few times. He filled Madison Square Garden. He had a young man speak on his behalf named Reverend Al Sharpton. You know, they would bring out Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali would come out. He was the reigning champ. He would come out and he would speak there in that venue, you know, as a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would watch so many dignitaries come out from all points to celebrate Reverend Ike. But he was almost a cuss word, not a curse word, a cuss word in communities. Interesting, right? Because when you don't think enough of yourself, you don't think you deserve. When we don't think enough of ourselves, we don't believe we deserve a thing. And it allows us to be the welcome mat to everyone that comes into our purview, because we don't hold ourselves at high enough regard to demand, or rather command, the respect of other people in the way that most civilized nations and civilized people would respect people. So you have a world that took advantage of a mindset that was destroyed, that we were robbed from, that we were deprived of, where we only felt the need to go work for someone and sell our time for money. What do you do now in a pandemic where you can no longer sell the time? What do you do when you put all of your blood, sweat, and tears, 40 years of your life, 30, 40 years of your life, 40 hours a week, into a job that no longer exists, or a retirement that has been totally wiped out because the stock market crashed? Where and how will you now manifest the abundance? What will you return to? In those instances, you can only return to the debt, because you no longer have what you thought you had. And what you had, or some of you, even if you still possess it, it's not enough to see you through. There was a gentleman who I talked about in my on some of the class and sessions. I bring her as an example. When we talk about I just really found it commendable. This brother had worked 30 years in a corporation, and he saved more than $500,000, 30 years, all right, in the retirement funds. And he said he's going to retire early. You know, he's in 30 years. He's going to retire in 31. You know, it was his last year working. And I said, well, what business venture would you undertake? What would you be doing next? And he's like, what do you mean, man? I'm going to live the life of my dreams, man. I'm tired of working. All that is over. I said, I know, but how will you survive? He said, did you hear me, man? I got $500,000. I said, no, I heard that. But you're only 60 years old. You have probably another 25 years at least of life activity. And you don't have $500,000 every year. You just have $500,000 for the remaining possibly 25 years of retirement. That's only $20,000 a year. This means that you can, without a plan, you can blow this in 2 years. Some of these cats have blown stuff like that in a week. Did you hear about the fellow on the news a month or so ago, almost 2 months ago, had $9 million and went to Vegas during the pandemic and lost it all in a weekend? Fella in Florida who had $3 million that he gained, ill-gotten gains, if you will, from several business contracts that turned out to be questionable. And then the government came back to him for the funds that they granted him. You know, he got it on a Thursday. They came to him on that Monday, but he only had a few $100,000 left of the $3 million he had acquired. You see how easy it is? The scripture talks about the fool and money will soon part. The fool meaning the ignorance, not knowing how to deal with it. Okay? But just think about it. I said to the gentleman, that $500,000 a year in retirement is only $20,000 a year. That's only $1,600 a month. That's only $59 a day. And at your age now, you're already going to the doctor. You already got medicines. You already got swollen ankles. You already got tired knees. You got a bad back. You're retiring just to try to restore yourself. Well, how are you going to do all that? The medications alone will eat up at least half of that $20,000 a year. He was ticked off with me, but I was, and yes, it could have been voiced a different way. It's true. But I was just really befuddled. I couldn't understand how you thought you could retire on that and be okay. And see, and the only reason I thought like that is because of what I've been introduced to in this opportunity as a wealth builder. Because prior to that, I had no concept of saving. I had never saved before Wealth Builders Worldwide, Carabao's International. I have more saved now. My family, our businesses have more saved now than we ever had in our whole entire lives. Because we didn't know what it was to save. Because we didn't know that gold was money. It was never available to us. And so the culture that comes with saving, the understanding that comes with the mindset that comes with saving, it comes with it inherently a commitment. And what is that commitment fueled by? Having knowledge of yourself, who you are, whose you are, what you're deserving of, and why it's so important to be remembered. So, abundance and prosperity work together. They're not opposed. And no one should condemn someone from preaching material gain to a people who have always operated out of lack, because the people who have operated out of lack should never had lack in the first place, because we are born of abundance. That means there's no want, there's no lack, and there's no grief. But we lived a life different from that because we were conquered by a conqueror with a masterful mind to build a society and a world around us that didn't speak to our greatness. And that's in your scripture. It's in your scripture. The Pharaoh wanted to make sure he killed off all boy babies. Why? Because they would grow into men and remember them for what they did. So all of our society has changed. I did a presentation earlier today, a Wealth Builders presentation, about the opportunity on our platform, www.goldrocks.info, right? There's another one going on tonight by Mr. Al Murray at 9 p.m. You want to be there. But in that presentation, I showed a clip from one of our great wealth builders who has now transitioned, Brother Dan Geronimo, Big Boomer, as he was known. And he brought up a very interesting, uniquely interesting point. He took it back a couple of generations. He said 1951, each household only had one adult or one parent working, and you can have a household of 5 or 6 people, and everybody was fine. Why? Because the job in 1951 was designed to benefit the economy, and in lieu of benefiting the economy, you were rewarded with a stable income that was backed by an asset that allowed you to be able to feed dollar per dollar, pound for pound. You can feed your household, you can take care of your bills, you can make a decent wage, you will have something you can save for generational wealth, and you can put your children through college. That's what a single a single earner in a household could do in 1951. And that lasted up until really the early 70s. And then what happened, America and the rest of the world came off of the gold standard. It was abolished. And the abolishment of the gold standard now gave you a dollar that's inflated with no purchasing power behind it. Inflation in the 1970s coming into the 2000s, it was roughly 11%. But they couldn't announce that. They couldn't let you see the raw numbers, meaning your government, because then it will create a whole nother level of run on banks. It would create another rebellion in the streets, because people would see there's no purchasing power. So they couldn't show you the index. What they do, and they do it very surreptitiously, they increase the cost of goods and services in increments. And before you know it, the car is now $40,000 when it was $645 in 1920. Now it's $40,000. Well, how did it get there? You didn't see it right away, because they just incrementally crept it up over the years. They give you different bank rates where you don't feel the loss of the money or the spending power of the money. Then they started floating this thing called credit, right? You sign a piece of paper and you get credit for having a certain amount of money on account, but you had to pay them real, or what was considered real money. You had to pay them paper against the illusion that you signed off on. So you now had bills that were no longer paid to the bearer on demand, no longer backed by silver or gold. Now you had a promissory note. And then the promissory note changed to a Federal Reserve note. Well, the note is a debt. You know, if you have a car and you haven't fully paid the payments, you have a car note. That's a debt. If you're in a home, try not paying the mortgage for a while. Eventually you'll be out of that home. Why? Because it's a note, and a note denotes debt. You see? So we have a new way. It's not new in the sense of new to the earth, because gold has always been with God. Gold is God. It's his money. You see? And because you can't quantify the value of gold any more than you can quantify the value of God. Limitless. He's the all in all. What do you think his money is? Oh yeah, some of you get caught up in what a cost is and what a value is and well, no, you don't even get caught up in value. You just get caught up over cost. Gold costs so much an ounce. It costs so. It costs this. It costs wealth builders. It don't cost nothing, because we understand the difference between value and worth. And the first place that begins is within us. Our mindset is different. I look at a thing. My wife and I go house hunting, or we go out looking at land. We love farms. We go out and we look. We don't ever ask ourselves, or we'll say to ourselves, we can't afford that. We say, how can we afford it? How do we get it? You see the mindset? The difference is you're willing your brain to calculate bringing it into existence. You're willing the universe to conspire with you on your behalf. Another discussion. I'm just basically trying to show us how abundance and prosperity work together for the greater good. Well, how does it work together for the greater good? Simply put, when you're able to reflect the abundance that you feel in spirit materially, you can draw people to understanding that it can happen in their lives. You're not drawing people to follow you. You're drawing them to a process of simple duplication. You're drawing people to you to see that if it can happen for you, it can happen for them. I talk often about the fellow who ran the 4-minute mile in the 70s. Before him, no one had done it before. After him, tens of thousands of people have run a 4-minute mile or less. Was it a special steroid that allowed these people to do it? Was it a different training technique? What was it? It was simply the fact that someone had now done it, because people can see it's doable. So when people see a brother like myself who goes out and talks up this opportunity and tells you he's going to retire his plantation, retire his boss, and then does it, and then tells you that he's going to be wealthy and then does it. And in telling you all this, he's also trying to show you how to do it, and you refuse it. But now that you see inklings of it, now maybe, hey, maybe there's something to this. And that's okay, because nothing comes before its time for any person. But I do want us to know and understand that this time is here for us for a reason. So abundance, true wealth is in the spirit. That's abundance. True wealth is in your natural makeup. That is abundance. True wealth is what you see in the heavens and the earth. That is abundance. Your access to it is your birthright. That, my friends, is abundance. Prosperity is where you can materially manipulate those things for the greater good, to enhance the godhood in you, man and woman, and be an example of what God intends for you to be to the world. So we know each other to exploit the good in each other, to exploit the greater good for the whole. There'll be more peace in households. There'll be more peace in the streets. There'll be more peace between people as there's greater equity in exchange of wealth. When there's a greater wealth balance, when the gap is closed, or as the gap closes, it will eventually bring another level of resolve and peace. Because the greatest dilemma in each household under each roof is the economy. It's the greatest of them. How do I know this? You can go into your home and you can control everything that goes on. You can control the stove, you can control the washing machine, you can control the dishwasher, the microwave, whatever those utensils or appliances that you have. You can control where your children sleep, what foods are made, how the home is kept, what kind of furnishings are in the home. You control all that. You control the cleaning of it, the cleanliness of the home. You control the plants and how you water them. All that's controlled under your roof. As you turn that door key and you go in that door, you control all of that. But do you control the money? Do you control the cost of living? Do you control the leveraging of your money, the cash flow of your household? Do you control it? No, you don't. You go back outside that door, you close the door, you lock it so no one comes in while you're gone, and you go and sell your time for money. You sell your time for money and come home with much less than what you would have ever earned by not having to be physically present to earn the income. That's the residual we offer you in Carabal's International. We offer you the way to enjoy a residual income, and we have a fast track program that is phenomenal where you can enjoy that cash flow right now. I recommend that all of you go to www.goldrocks.info and hear from Mr. Murray this evening. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. It's a mind blower when you realize that this is in front of you and has been here the whole while. It's just your time now. It's just your time. You're welcome to visit my page www.run2wealth.info. That's the number 2. www.run2wealth.info. And you'll see how you can not only become a part of the opportunity for those who are being introduced to it for the first time, but you can also see the power of wealth building, where you understand the value of money and how it works. You'll see so many different things there, and you'll get a chance to see the replay of the magnificent conference we did this past weekend, the Paper to Gold Run to Wealth Conference, where millionaires came together to share valuable information that helps you not only secure your millions, but get yours while you live. All right? There's no pie in the sky and a sweet by and by after we die. There's a whole nother set of people that are enjoying this on the ground right now. We have the ability to enjoy it now, but righteously, morally, ethically, and legally. We have the power to do all that right now as we speak. So with that being said, I want to thank you for the opportunity you afforded me to share with you in this discussion. I hope there was something meaningful in it. I just felt really compelled to share out of those things that I've been exposed to in all that's been shared on different platforms around cyberspace. And I'm hoping that you found some value in what we had to share with you today. And I will again give you the music from Damian Marley and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as we close out. I'll just let it play for a while. But I really appreciate all of you for allowing me to be a stable presence in cyberspace in your life. I mean, look, class in session happens every Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. right here on this platform, Eric Torrey Muhammad. We're here every morning, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern. And hundreds of you come every morning. And I appreciate it. And we don't take it lightly. And we share information that inspires, that educates, that motivates, that stimulates. And then we go to work. We go to work to make adjustments in our lives. And then we come back and we celebrate the victories in our lives. And all of us should do that. We're a very unique family, because where your mother or father may not understand you, where your husband and wife may not understand you, where your loved ones, your children, your siblings may not understand you, where your peers may not understand you, there's a whole community that knows that you're in the world, but you don't have to be of that world. And we have a world of abundance awaiting you, 1 gram at a time. All right. So thank you again. I'll see us all with Mr. Al Murray this evening at 8 p.m. Brother Finance the Boss, if you're on, if you're still here, would you share the information for the presentation that's going on at 6:30 Central tonight with Roz Range and Mama? They'll be on the Power of Couples and Carrot Bars International. I hope he's still there. If not, I'm going to find it on my page and I'm going to share it everywhere. That's also going to be a phenomenal undertaking, which I intend to be there for as well, for our fellow wealth builders. And family, just thank you. Thank you. We can never thank you enough for all that you do and all that you've done. I love your comments, Sister Debbie. We are each responsible to continue our personal growth to discover our true gifts and worth. That is a fact. That is a fact. I'm going to close out with the message of music from Damian Marley and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you again for allowing me to be a part of your day. I'm your brother and your friend, Brother Eric Torrey Muhammad. Peace and power. Forward.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody joining this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham gave birth to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. What caused the family to feud? Satan was at the root. 4 and 3 make 7. Also 5 and 2, one great universal truth, but many different point of view.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Unity or something start with you and I. Let's work it out together, you and I. Cause love is a thing you can't beg, neither borrow. No deficit, there will be more tomorrow. Take a big man to put difference aside. What a calamity when the difference collide. Every man self-righteous, don't be so shallow. Every man trust in the path that they
Let
follow.
us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham turning in his grave, seeing how the children behave, fighting and killing each other, denying the connection as brother, all waiting for the Messiah to pull the family together. But what will he require to keep them out of the judgment fire? We must unite in truth and do justice, practice righteousness. Then God's kingdom will come, and this wicked world will be done. We must unite the tribes in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Nigeria, and Nkrumah's vision lights the world over, from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Too much division make a good thing spoil. Families are lost over land and isle. Then the one for revenge starts casting a shadow. Some try to forgive, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Love sin a go on the sacred style. Please say a prayer for the woman and child, and unite today so they can still have tomorrow. When fate separates us, it leads on to
Let
sorrow.
us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.